Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be reviewing This Savage Song by Victoria Schwab. I remember getting this book in a past owl crate and it's been a while. So I finally got around to reading This Savage Song. I did recently finish Our Dark Duet, which is the second book in this duology. And so I kind of wanted to do a review on both books, but I thought, I probably needed to review This Savage Song before I decided to review Our Dark Duet. So yeah, I guess without further ado, we'll get straight into the review. I have not read any other books by Victoria Schwab, so this is the first book I've read from her. And I must say that Victoria Schwab has a very creative way of building a unique sort of world. So This Savage Song is the first book in the Monsters of Verity duology. It's an urban YA paranormal fantasy set in the city of Verity, a city that has been divided in two due to a change in nature that is causing violence to start manifesting into physical beings. So monsters are created through violent acts, and there are three types of monsters in the city of Verity: the Korsai, the Malkai, and the Sunai. The Korsai is sort of like the basic monster that's around. They're created from violent acts that are committed to other people who aren't killed by the violent act. They hide in the shadows. They kind of have more of a monstrous form and feed off flesh and bone. The Malkai, on the other hand, are a bit more humanoid. They are created from murdering another person and they feed on human blood, kind of like vampires, and they also are more stronger at nighttime and in the dark. And lastly, we have the Sunai, who are rare in the city of Verity, and they're created through mass killings. They look human, so they can pass off as human, but they do feed off the life force of sinners, who are humans that have committed one of these violent acts that have brought monsters into being, and their souls are stained red, and if they are, the Sunais can feed off those humans. The Sunais use music to lure in humans and bring out the stained soul from the human, and then they're able to feed off those sinners. So this book is from a dual narrative. We're following the perspectives of Kate Harker and August Flynn. The book starts off from Kate's perspective. She's the daughter of Callum Harker, who rules over the northern region of Verity. He kind of runs the north of Verity like a mobster, where the rich can buy his protection from the monsters. The people that can't afford to pay him a contribution for his protection are then ripe for the picking for the monsters that lurk in the dark. Callum Harker does have some control over the monsters in the north side of the city to run the city the way that he does. However, it's not always guaranteed if you're past curfew that the monsters won't attack the people that are under his protection, but he kind of keeps the monsters sort of in line. Moving back to the beginning of the story, it is following Kate, who has been living outside of Verity. She's constantly moving around, getting expelled from various prep schools that her father is sending her to in order to get his attention, move back into Verity, and prove to her father that she is capable and worthy of taking over the family business. She does get his attention and she does end up moving back into Verity. The relationship she has with her dad is sort of cold and distant, and there isn't much love there because Callum is sort of a cruel and selfish person who only thinks about power. So that is who she grew up under. And because she's so adamant in proving herself, she does put up a wall and distances herself from other people. She doesn't really want to get close to anyone, and she just really wants to be as ruthless as her father and be a monster. August Flynn, on the other hand, is a stark contrast from Kate. He is just sweet. He lives on the south side of Verity and he has a loving family. He's been sheltered and kept away in secret by his adoptive parents for reasons that come to play later on in the story. However, August is a monster. He's a Sunai, but unlike Kate, who yearns to be a monster, August, he just wants to be a human. He just wants to be like his father and have a moral code. He's often afraid of what he is and what he can become, as Sunais can go dark and evolve into a more destructive monster with more catastrophic consequences when they don't feed on sinners for a while. So he's kind of grappling with that sort of conflict within himself. There are 3 known Sunais in the city of Verity, and all 3 of them live on the south side of Verity, including August with Henry Flynn, who is the adoptive father. Henry Flynn runs the south side of the city alongside the FTF, a military organization. Even though the south side is very militaristic in the way they run the city, all their citizens are kept safe from the monsters. However, if you are a sinner living in the south side, you will be reaped by the Sunai. So I guess if you are rich and you've committed a violent act, your best bet is on the north side of the city, although safety is not always guaranteed there. So Callum Harker and Henry Flynn have a very fragile truce between the two that is constantly threatened to break. The lives of Kate and August kind of collide when they start attending the same school. They both get caught up in their family's feud and conspiracies. Both our main characters have secrets that they're keeping, and also at the beginning have preconceived assumptions of each other that leaves them very mistrusting towards one another. Kate was contemptuous of Flynn for being idealistic and is suspicious of August, but does come to admire him. There is a unique friendship that forms between the two, which is very endearing and just something that was a little unexpected, especially because their personalities are so contrasting, and the fact that, you know, Kate is a human and August is a monster, but it is sort of a unique friendship that forms, and it's beautiful and lovely to see. You're rooting for them. I highly enjoyed that aspect of the book. Now, when we're talking about the characters, most people prefer August over Kate, and I have to agree with that. I definitely liked following August over Kate, and I just liked the characters that August interacted with. However, even though Kate is a little bit more unlikable, it is interesting to read from her perspective. She's standoffish and arrogant. She uses fear and her status to manipulate situations. She's smart and she's ruthless when she needs to be, but internally she is dealing with personal issues and trauma that have brought up this sort of persona out of her. There is a sense of insecurity and conflict inside of her that is interesting to read about. I did like how she was brutal and savage when she needed to be to get things done, and I appreciated that. August, on the other hand, is sweet and sort of has an innocence about him. He's conflicted by his nature to feed off humans. He doesn't want to be a monster, but he also wants to be useful to his family's cause. The interactions he had with his 2 Sunai siblings was also very intriguing to read about, and I loved how the Sunais also had personalities and traits that reflected the violent acts they were born from. So each Sunai has a very distinct personality, which was a very cool idea. In terms of world building, Victoria Schwab created a very unique concept where violence breeds and manifests physical monsters. There was scheming involved in the plot by both the north and south side. I also liked how music had a very strong presence throughout the book. Both our main characters used music in their own ways, and also the author used a lot of words that were related to music, so just the descriptions were beautifully written. There are themes of violence and the effects of violence, family conflict, societal and family pressures, what's good and what's evil, what's right and wrong. All these themes were explored throughout the book, which was nice. Overall, I really liked the story that was presented in The Savage Song. I liked how it focused on the characters and their development without detracting from the overall plot line. I loved how it focused on the friendship aspect between the 2 main characters. There isn't a romance between the 2, which was nice to see. Even though they started off hating one another and not trusting one another, there is sort of a mutual understanding that forms between the 2. I was rooting for the 2 to team up and kind of sort out the issues and conflicts that they were presented with throughout the story, and just all the other cool and unique elements that Victoria Schwab built. I will say in terms of pacing, it was a little slower to get into for me, but at a certain point the momentum kind of picks up and the plot takes off and it's very fast paced after that. I was on board with it, I was engaged all the way till the end. It was a darker, more grittier YA urban fantasy, but I enjoyed it all the same and I would recommend it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars on Goodreads. I was definitely unsure if I actually liked the book when I first started it, but it definitely grew on me and I ended up really enjoying it. So as soon as I finished it, I ended up ordering the second book straight away. I mean, I finished the second one as well. I will say that it was a very unique story, and this one on its own, it kind of left on a sort of cliffhanger and you're kind of unsure where the story's gonna go from here on out. But yeah, it kind of wrapped up nicely, but certain elements were kind of left in the air, but overall loved it. Anyway, so that's it. That's my review of this Savage song. I hope you enjoyed, and if you pick it up, let me know what your opinions are on it. I'll love to discuss with you and what you think about the book. Anyway, have a nice day and keep on reading. Until I see you in my next video. Bye!